Power Radio 947 HD.
Yeah, what up, folks? So we got 2017 Kia Sportage. Customer complaint is that they've been experiencing a extended crank in the morning, and all of a sudden, the vehicle tends to stall out on them while they're driving. They took it to the dealership, and they didn't see anything, so they asked if I could check it out for them, right? But I believe I have an idea exactly what's going on. But let's start the vehicle up and see if we can get this problem to occur, right? She said it was an intermittent problem. It don't happen all the time, so she left it to see if I can figure it out. So let's start the vehicle up and see what's up. Okay, so it definitely gave me a hard start, and we got some lights popped up. Okay, so in this video I'm going to use the Auto MBK 908, right? And we're going to diagnose this car and see why this vehicle is getting this or developed this hard start, right? And as you saw, we got that light came on the dash, right? I'm not sure what that is about, but as I said, man, let's get the scan tool. We do have a fault in the ECU. So we got the P0335 crank position sensor circuit A. So we got a crank position fault. We also got a ABS VDC, which is a C1648 CAN signal error. Okay, so is it that we have an issue with the crankshaft sensor, or what is it? I mean, is it the wiring? Is it the circuit? Is it the ECU? Right? It popped up as a history. I mean, 2017 and the crankshaft sensor is giving trouble already. Okay, so what we need to do is I'm going to hook up the scope on this, right? And I'm going to scope the signal on the crankshaft sensor and see if I'm getting what I need to get, right? This is a 2-wire sensor, right? This is a VR type, so I believe I need to get my scope and just piggyback off of that and see what's going on, man. It could be that we have a failing sensor that's have the vehicle feel like it's shutting down. Alright, so let's carry one crankshaft sensor and 2 camshaft, right? Intake and exhaust, right? So I'm going to scope that and just take a look and see if the signal is dropping out when you start up the vehicle, or I mean, the vehicle starts right up, but the initial start is a problem, right? So as I said, I'm not sure exactly if the crank sensor has the fault or if it's a harness, right? So let's scope it and see what's going on, right? And if everything is good on this side, then we gotta go after this bad boy here, right? Or it could just be sludge on the these vehicles known for sludge, right? So let's see if the customer has been doing their maintenance, right? I mean, if they say they go to the dealership and there is really clean, to be honest. Hold up. No, it's really clean in there. Okay, so let me explain my setup. I got my yellow and red leads on my crankshaft sensor. I got my green on my intake cam, my blue on my intake cam, right? I got my white lead into my #1 coil signal, and I also got my purple into #1 injector, right? So we're gonna start up the scope. Okay, so we're gonna do a start deep record, and we're gonna start the vehicle and see exactly if anything sticks its head out. Okay, so I stopped the scope from running, so let's take the ignition off and let's see exactly if we can see anything that will help us diagnose this vehicle, right? Because right now the vehicle is running perfectly. Is it that the temperature related? Possible. Okay, so let's take a look and see what's going on with the signal. All right, so let's basically zoom in on the ignition coil and see how it's firing. All right, everything looks good right here. I'm seeing that the ECU has the ability to ground this coil and basically the fire line, right? So let's go out full and let's take a look at the injectors. Okay, injectors also, doing this thing. All right, so let's come out, right? Because we got to look at when the problem is occurring, which is, at first start. All right, and from what I'm seeing right here, I'm going to zoom in so you can see exactly what's going on. We're going to take a look at here. All right, so the yellow and the red waveform is the crank signal, where the blue and the green is the cam, right? So we could take the blue and the green off for now. All right, and we're going to take the orange, the brown, and pink off. All right, so what I'm looking at right now is the ignition coil fire, in the second segment, when it's supposed to fire at least a little closer, right? And you see the injector is being fired right here, all right? But it looks like, the amplitude of this waveform for the crank signal is very weak. Like it was small and it got big and then it got small again and then it tried to, do its thing. But it looks like we definitely had a weak signal coming from that crank signal, right? And as the speed increased, the RPM increased, you saw where the coil was able to fire and injector right after. So I believe what's going on is the crank signal is failing and causing the extended crank. I mean, the scan code did tell me that we have a P0335 crankshaft circuit fault, but I mean, you're actually seeing what's going on, right? So you see where the signal starts to oscillate and then it speeds up, and then after it starts to spread back out again and then it got wider. That's letting me know that it's like the sensor's having a hard time keeping up. And then when he picks up enough speed, that's when the coil fires. So we definitely gotta replace this sensor. That's the first thing I would do, right? Because I'm seeing exactly what is happening, right, using the scope, right? Let's see what's going on here. I mean, you could have just go and replace the crankshaft sensor, and hang parts on them. But let's say it wasn't that, then what you gonna do? We gotta make sure that we diagnose this vehicle correctly, and the customer would be happy and go on the merry way. So I believe we hit it right in the head right here. The amplitude of the the signal is really weak and causing the the coil to fire late. Look, this right here is when it went back to being small, so it wasn't enough to trigger that coil. So I think that's the problem right there. You see it try to let's see if we can zoom into this. What is this? It looks like it tried to fire a coil right here, the same number one, but because the the signal was weak, it wasn't able to. So we definitely have solved this problem right here. So I just spoke to the customer and informed them that I need to get my hands on an OEM sensor, right? I'm gonna redo my checks, but I believe that's gonna solve that problem, right? So let me see if I could get my hands on one, and then I'll pick the camera back up and show you exactly what's good. All right, so the customer just came through and dropped off the sensor, right? It have the box somewhere. It's the OEM one, trust me, it is, right? I made sure I let them know it have to be OEM, right? And so let me go on the vehicle, right? Locate where the sensor is supposed to be at, and pop it in and clear my codes, redo my checks, and that should be it. This is the old one, okay? And let's replace it with a new one. Let's see if we could start this car up without no problems. Okay, we gotta hook back up the scan tool. We're gonna clear the crank sensor code that we had on the system, and let's see exactly what's going on, man. I mean, you're supposed to be good, right? Okay, so I mean, as I said, we definitely had that fault code on the crank sensor, right? I didn't erase anything, so let's come back out and let's go back in the system. Okay, now we still got that fault code on the engine. Okay, so as I said, man, sometimes when you change parts out and it works, or it's working, it tends to, you know, come off on its own. But in this case, I will have to get rid of it because it was a hard fault, right? So let's see what's going on here. So what I was chasing was that P0335. Yeah, I do believe it's due to temperature that sensor starting to feel, right? So could be, I mean, is these parts, man, they're not lasting like they used to. So we definitely still got that P0355 code up, right? So let's erase this code. Let's press yes. Let's press yes. So we got it off. Let's come out. Let's go back in. Alright, so we don't have no fault on the engine. So let's see if we can start this vehicle up and see if we get that same symptoms as earlier. Right now the vehicle is cold, so I don't believe I should get that fault. Okay, I got some wires by my foot. Okay, let's see. Alright, it started right up. Alright, so you see I got the vehicle running. Alright, let's step on the X. Okay, let's switch off. Let's start right back up. I got no faults. Alright, so let's do a all erase. Let's erase everything off the system. Alright, so we got no faults. Let's come out. Okay, let's come out. Okay, we're gonna go back in, make sure everything is cool. I'm gonna see if we have any adaptive values to reset for the crank sensor since I replaced it. Right then, I'm gonna let the customer know that the sensor was replaced, and I mean, that should be it. So let's go into engine. Okay, let's go in special function. Do we have any adaptive? Reset adaptive value. Okay, so we could have checked the CPK and the CM signal test, but I don't think that was the problem, man. Right, let's check this one. What is this? Missing of crank position sensor signals, one of the cause of engine stall. Engine stall happens without specific P code. If a history of crank position sensor signal is missing or present, please check the ignition on, engine stop. Oh, so I didn't know the scan tool could have done that. Press OK. Crank position signal didn't happen. Press OK. Nothing. Okay, let's see what this one is. No DTC. Press OK. Check the noise interference too. I mean, I kind of jump all these steps, right? So I didn't know it had this feature in there, to be honest. Alright guys, so I was able to locate the original camshaft sensors and the crankshaft sensor, right? I also advised the customer to replace the drive belt, right, with the OE one. So I got that done. Okay, so let's pop these in. Right, here's the part number. So I believe I got my setup exactly the same way I had it before. I got the red and the yellow lead on the crankshaft sensor. I got the green on the intake cam sensor. Right, I got the blue on the exhaust cam sensor. I got my white in ignition number 1 coil signal. Right, there's 2 wires, but you dig. Also got my purple hooked on to injector number 1. So let's start this vehicle up and monitor capture, so we can have a known good. Seeing that I replaced all the both cam and crank sensors, so I'm gonna definitely keep this in my library for a known good. So let's start it up. Alright, so the vehicle start right up, no engine light, nothing. Okay, it's cold, so you gotta let it idle for a bit. Okay, so let's stop the capture. Okay, and let's stop the vehicle, and I believe that this definitely is a fix. Alright, so some may be asking, why did you change out the cam and the crank together, seeing that the code was only for the crankshaft sensor? Alright, so think about it, right, this way, right? All the sensors went on at the same time, so they all was exposed to harsh conditions such as too much stress, sludge, you know, and so on, right? So eventually the cam will fail, you know, eventually, right? So I made a recommendation to the customer, yo, I think you should replace the cam as well, right? Just to avoid any further shutdown issue. And basically she gave me the okay, right? So I'm using my experience and best practice to, you know, make the call. I mean, you don't have to do it, it's based on your pocket, but I mean, I don't want you to drive off, you know, and then a few months later the camshaft sensor failing and you say, hey, you could have, you know, let me know. But you know how it is, right? But if you like this video, leave a thumbs up. If you don't like it, leave a thumbs down. But at least let me know down in the comment box, you know, what you think about the video. Or if you're struggling with these kind of diagnosing, because guys always hit me up, you know, check out my other videos, right? I must have something up there for you that can help you out. And if you are a new subscriber, hit that bell notification so you can see more content. But other than that, you know, y'all stay safe, be safe out there. Peace.